So that way the class will be recorded. All right, so let's go. Don't forget to have fun, because this is all about understanding, and also understanding with an element of lightness in the consciousness. So my name is Prem Kishori Devidasi. So that way the class will be recorded. All right, so let's go. Navanishta Prabhu is my don't forget, he is the one who came to my college 21 years ago and gave a class on science and spirituality. And then I looked for the devotees who gave the class, which turned out to be Navanishta Prabhu, which I didn't know at the time. And then I never left. So this is very nice. And this has been presented on behalf of ISKCON Radha Govinda Temple in Bangalore. So welcome. Everything that we're going to talk about is based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who's the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So as an etiquette, we're going to pay respects or homage to Srila Prabhupada before we actually start our discussion on the detail. So this is Srila Prabhupada with his disciples in San Francisco in 1972, where he did the first Rath Yatra, Jagannath Rath Yatra, and the Rath was made in San Francisco. The deities were carved by his American disciples in San Francisco. So nothing was brought from India. So basically, a pure spiritual master has so much of potency to impart his power to bring Krishna anywhere. When Prabhupada was a young boy in Bengal, he was born in a Vaishnava family. His father's name was Gaur Mohan De, and he was inclined towards learning about Krishna consciousness. He gives a lot of credit to his father, Gaur Mohan De Prabhupada. And when he was young, he wanted to do the Jagannath Rath Yatra with his neighborhood friends. So his father took him to an old lady's house who had a broken cart, got the cart, renovated the cart, decorated the cart, and Srila Prabhupada did the Rath Yatra with the boys of the community, of the neighborhood, and all the mothers made some sweetmeats. In 1922, Prabhupada met his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, who was a scholar of his time in 1922. So India was still under the ruling of British, right? And at the first meeting, he said, "You are an intelligent boy. You speak English. Why don't you preach the message of Lord Chaitanya in the Western world?" It was not until 1933 that Srila Prabhupada took initiation, but that first meeting, Prabhupada recalls, that had a very much impact. So Prabhupada was listening to Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, following his, wherever he was touring, to listen to him. He said, "I could not understand anything in the beginning what my spiritual master was teaching, but he was so impactful." So purity of a devotee attracts. Prabhupada took sannyas at the age of in 1955, and he was preaching. He was alone. He was living. He moved to Radha Damodar Temple in Vrindavan, and he was preaching. He was writing books. He was editing. He was printing. So that time, the ride from Vrindavan to Delhi was not so smooth as it is right now. So, and he was doing it everything by his own self. He tried to establish an International Society for Krishna Consciousness in India for 10 years. 10 years he tried. He went to the people he knew who were genuinely impressed by his devotion and his scholarly aspect. He said, "You have 4 sons, give me one. I will make him a devotee of Krishna. I'll make him a Vaishnava." People in India said, "Swamiji, this is the age of technology. This is not the age of Vedic scriptures." So Prabhupada says, "I was depressed, repressed, suppressed by India thoroughly." So, well, by the way, anyway, it was and then later he says it was my Guru Maharaj had said that on my first meeting, that go to West and start preaching in English, right? So Prabhupada came in India. He was trying to actually, before coming to West, he was trying to actually take the message of Bhagavad Gita to very scholarly people and he wrote letters to very scholarly politicians, very influential people. And he's tried at different levels, but nothing was happening. So he took this cargo ship. Cargo ship is a ship that is manufactured to transport goods from one country to another. In this case, India to Boston. So the cargo ship does not have passengers, but he begged Sumati Morarji for giving him a ticket in her cargo ship. And he traveled for 28 days on that cargo ship at the ripe age of 70 years. 70-some years old, Prabhupada came to West in 1965 after 28 years, and he had 2 heart attacks, no family, nothing. He survived everything, and he landed, and then he knew no one. It's not that he's coming and then there is this people lined up at the Boston Harbor to welcome Srila Prabhupada. There was no one. The only thing he had was the order of his spiritual master. He had 40 rupees in his pocket, which was not easy to get conversion in US at the time. So basically he had no money. But then he started the movement by sitting in Tompkinson Square Park with his little drum. It was not even a mridanga. And he chanted every day from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. in a public park in New York alone. So slowly people started coming by hearing his chanting. They started dancing, and that's how International Society for Krishna Consciousness was established. Some people became interested. They took initiation. So Prabhupada started to send his first disciples to different parts of the world to spread this message of Lord Chaitanya. This is Srila Prabhupada's first public performance in West Coast, America, where the devotees, Mukunda Datta Goswami, there's a nice book called Miracle on Second Avenue, where the devotees were able to acquire few-minute-long stage performance in the middle of a rock concert. So it was not like a Kirtan festival. It was a rock concert, and Prabhupada had maybe 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, that, okay, Prabhupada could perform for 5 minutes slot for that particular time. So this was his first performance, and Prabhupada did it. And then Prabhupada's disciples were sent to London, nobody was rich, everybody was broke to filthiness, empty pockets, but hearts were full of gratitude. So they went and they started the preaching in London. And this is George Harrison, the singer from Beatles, who they were able to inspire. And then later he became very much absorbed, and he spent time in India with Srila Prabhupada and ultimately gave Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Manor to start the ISKCON preaching in London. Prabhupada went to Moscow. Prabhupada went everywhere. Prabhupada was talking to very scholarly places of whichever country he was going to. Prabhupada translated over 72 books in English, from Bengali, from Sanskrit, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Chaitamrita, and a lot of books, small books. And then he started the magazine Back to Godhead, which is still going on. It is quarterly now. At that time it was, I think, 5. So Prabhupada gave immense literature, and this is Prabhupada's timeline. Now I will humbly ask, after you watch this timeline, how many of us have actually led a life like this? Okay, be ready, okay? Ready to have the first jhatka. So let's see.
Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari
have traveled across the globe like this in 12 years. Australia 6 times, Canada 4 times, Fiji Islands 2 times, France 6 times. How many of us have had an itinerary like this? Yes, I don't. I don't have it. Anybody? Even one
No.
person. So this is really, thank you. The reason to ask this question is because this is really impactful. It's very impactful of what Srila Prabhupada has done. We celebrated Srila Prabhupada's 50th anniversary of arrival to America in 2016 or 2015. And I was there. And Srila Prabhupada was praised not only by the saints from different cults, but also by scholars in universities like MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, in Harvard. I was there. But the scholar was saying that he was a PhD. I don't remember the name, but the professor was the head of the Department of Religion and Philosophy. And he said, and he was an American person, said that we have gone as far as 5000 BC. We are in AC period, 5000 BC, as to who has done such an impactful work as Srila Prabhupada. Said the most common cult followed in all over the world is Christianity. Very good. Anything is good which takes us near to God. But Christianity the message was propagated by Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was accompanied by his people, right? They were disciples. They're in church, they say brothers. Like we say Prabhuji and Mataji, they say brothers and sisters. So Jesus Christ was not alone when he started to propagate the message of God. And then, then Muslim, the Mohammedan, very nice, but they were also not alone. They were Masihas, they were together, there was a group. But when we study about the establishment of his International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada came to America alone. So I was like, it looks like very nice. It looks like very impactful hearing from someone who is not a part of the society, who's educating the students in such an esteemed university all over in the world. And he's praising that, Srila Prabhupada started this alone. Anyway, so under the divine shelter of our deities, our lovable deities, Shri Radha Govinda, for whose pleasure we are doing all this, let's dive in more and let's pay obeisances to Srila Prabhupada in our hearts. So we are located in Mangalore in Shri Radha Govinda temple, but we are moving to Kadri, I don't remember the new address. We are making a new temple, which is going to have a very big arena with a lot of classrooms where we can do all this in person as well and do a lot of workshops. So everyone is welcomed. All right, Bhagavad Gita is an epic scripture that has answers to all our problems. Every single problem solved in 700 verses. It was considered a spiritual dictionary by Mahatma Gandhi, and it is a book of inspiration for many leaders across the planet. So there are a lot of testimonials. Those who meditate on Gita will derive fresh joy and new meanings from it every day. Mahatma Gandhi said that. Albert Einstein said, when I read Bhagavad Gita and reflect about how God created this universe, everything else seems so superfluous. Then the question arises, there's so many translations of Bhagavad Gita in the world. Over 600 translations of Bhagavad Gita are there from if somebody wants to buy. Now we have different kinds of models, like you can have a hard paperback or hardcover back, or you can have an ebook, you can have a Kindle version, like you can have an online book. So what makes Bhagavad Gita as it is stand out different? Why Bhagavad Gita as it is? Why not the other 599 versions? The only exclusive quality of Srila Prabhupada's translation of Bhagavad Gita as it is it is given in parampara. It's coming from a parampara. It's not that it is one night I had a dream and then I thought that this is going to be the translation of what Krishna is saying. No, there is a definitive teacher lineage, which is starting from Krishna himself. Okay, so for example, Prabhupada learned it from his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, who learned it from his guru, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, who learned it from his guru, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who learned it from his guru, Jagannath Babaji Maharaj. Like that goes back to Narad Muni, Brahma, and Brahma learned it from Krishna. So this is unbroken. Like, for example, if somebody is going in an engineering college, the books are available in the market. The courses are available on recorded sessions on a lot of platforms, right? But by reading the book and by looking at the recordings from a non-authorized university, will that person get a degree in engineering? Will they be called as an engineer? Yes, I can do a self-study at home and then I can become an engineer. And then I'll be recognized. Yes or no?
No.
No, Mataji.
No.
No.
Not-
No,
You have to have a deemed university, right? Or an authentic university. We have to go. So, so Bhagavad Gita as it is that the teachings of Srila Prabhupada is that deemed university. It's authorized. So Bhagavad Gita is a vast book. A systematic study of Gita will take about a year, which we do. We teach. And in 18 days, we can't do the detailed study, but we are going to focus on the flow of thought between Krishna and Arjun, and then prepare, hopefully, each one of us in this class for a deeper study of Bhagavad Gita. Just an overview, it has 700 verses. Krishna speaks the majority. He speaks about 82%, so 574 verses. Arjun speaks 84 verses. Sanjay speaks 41 verses. Dhritarashtra speaks 1 verse. So Bhagavad Gita is a book of dialogue. There's a dialogue going on. Okay. There are 5 major things which are discussed in Bhagavad Gita. And overall, the 5 major things which are discussed: Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. So out of Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, and Kala are eternal, means they are not influenced by the time factor. When I say not influenced by time factor, means that there is no past, there is no present, and there is no future. It's just there, eternal. But karma is one thing which is temporary, because it is manifested and then annihilated or unmanifested. Don't worry about it. It's just an introduction I'm covering, but then we'll read more about what it really means by Ishvara, which is Krishna. Prakriti means material nature. Jiva means Atma. Kala means time. Karma means the activity which are conditions which we do in this life, which reward us another body. Okay, so the mood of Bhagavad Gita is Arjun is bewildered, right? Arjuna's bewilderment and appearance of illusion must be understood to be Krishna's arrangement. If not for Arjun's confusion and bewilderment, there would have been no necessity for Krishna to speak Bhagavad Gita to rescue him. Although Arjun is the apparent first listener of the Bhagavad Gita, it is for the benefit of everyone. Okay, because if somebody is with Krishna, they cannot be bewildered unless Krishna causes that bewilderment. It's not possible. It's like saying that I am in sunlight, but I'm also in darkness. It's not possible. I'm in sunlight. I'm in sunlight. I can see everything in the sunlight, myself, things around me. Like that, if somebody is with Krishna, they can see everything, who they are, who other person is, who everything else is. But we see that Arjun is bewildered, and we are going to see the bewilderment in a few minutes. What was that about? Okay, now it's just a step back. Let's take a step back about so much philosophy that I've been saying. But let's say, what is my motivating factor to go ahead in this curriculum? Read or not to read? Probably some of you have Bhagavad Gita as it is in your room, in your houses. Probably it's sitting in a shelf. Probably you're thinking of buying it, getting it somehow. So read or not to read? Okay, let's see if I can impress. So in Bhagavad Gita, there are 2 circles of conversations going on. Okay, there's an outer circle where there's a talk going on between people and events. And that talk is going on between Dhritarashtra and Sanjay. Right? Sanjay is asking questions to, Dhritarashtra is asking question to Sanjay First verse of Bhagavad Gita is like that, right? Dharam kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamaka pandavascheva kim akurvata sanjaya. He's asking, what are my sons and the sons of Pandu doing in a field which is Dharam kshetre called Kurukshetra? So asking about people and events. But then there is an inner circle where there is a talk about wisdom. And that inner circle of talk about wisdom is going on between Arjun and Krishna. So there are two layers of Bhagavad Gita, outer and inner. So this is the inner circle where the conversation starts. Krishna drove the chariot in the midst of both the armies. Arjun was in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. So he couldn't find the solution. So he surrendered to Krishna, and then Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna. Then what do I have to be very scholarly, or only scholarly people can understand Bhagavad Gita? A person who doesn't have much of an academic background cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. But let's look at what the most recent data is suggesting about the progress of the material education. Say, I'm not demeaning it, at least don't misunderstand. As we learn, it is important. But when we go to learn in schools and colleges, and then we start working, then, okay, there's a slow beginning, there's a fast progress, but then we hit a plateau. There's no more growth. It's plateau. It's flattened out. Maximum, whatever I could do, I've done. I don't have a desire, or I would like to retire, or whatever. So it's plateau. There's nothing new to be tasted. But spiritual knowledge is like a spiral, the 3D structure. We start as if we don't know anything, and then we read. So basically, we can go on reading Bhagavad Gita again and again and again, and we derive new meanings about it, from it. It's not that Bhagavad Gita part 1 and then Bhagavad Gita part 2. No, same Bhagavad Gita going in a spiral way, giving newer and newer realizations to a devotee as one progresses in this path of spiritual realization. So this is a difference. Okay. Okay, who is this? Let's give credit to him. Who is this? For a long time.
Lionel Messi.
Messi, right? Yeah, from Argentina. So he's good in head. He's very good in head. He's got good strategies to play. Right? So very good in head. Then there is this, the devotee who taught me this. There's this lady who's also very good in head. She's managing so many things on her head, right? So we have a Messi and then we have a Masi. So they're both good in head. So, and then there is this person who is BA, MA, PhD, also good in head. So for a very long time, it was thought that the ultimate accomplishment of intelligence is having a very good IQ. So if I'm good in head, I am good. This life is good. But now the things are changing as we are progressing and people are becoming more and more inquisitive, is that actually Messi is good in head. Masi is also good in head. This PhD, MA, BA is also good in head. But then what else? Still they are MA and D. Can't solve the problems. Can't solve. Okay, now I have a house by the sea, a color TV, and a 90 gigabyte MP3. Well, I'm not happy. The life looks good. Yeah? House by the sea, a color TV, and a 90 gigabyte MP3. What's the problem? This is what I hoped for. I'm not happy. What is happening? Happy faces. Okay, this is the reality. Go on the social media. Happy faces. Photographs are happy faces, but then crying hearts. So the number of rates of suicides that we face today is the maximum. And the maximum number of suicides are happening in Japan. And Japan is the country which is supposed to be maximally advanced in technology at the current moment. So happy faces, crying hearts. What happened to the house by the sea, a color TV, and an MP3? Can't bring happiness. who's gonna see the crying heart? When we started this classes in 2020, the COVID was hitting, right? The pandemic was June 2020, was at the peak. So I received a phone call. That time my phone number was publicly available for some reason, which I learned not to do that. But anyhow, I'm glad I received the phone call from one lady. She said that, and I couldn't believe that. She's like, nobody could have imagined. She said to me, that my husband is in debt, some 40 lakh rupees or something. The business is closed. And we were contemplating, I have 2 children, 9-year-old and a 13-year-old. And me and my husband were contemplating that we can't go on living like this. So we will give poison to our children and then drink poison, both of us, and we will die. But by listening to Bhagavad Gita 18 days, my perspective changed. So she said, thank you for saving us. This is Krishna's words, because it's a matter of perspective. What perspective are we looking at from our lives at? What's the lens are we using to look at our life? I'll give you an example of how the perspective is all that is defining our life. Okay, so there was this elderly couple, a husband and wife, and they were walking by the road, and then they saw a young couple in Mercedes Benz. So the husband got out of the car. He opened he let his wife in the car, and then he gently closed the car. So the elderly couple wife told the husband, see, newly married, new marriage is new. So the husband said, the car is new. So I don't want to bang the car doors. The car is new. So this is perspective. What's the perspective? If the perspective is not based on the lens of a spiritual education, a spiritual platform, then our perspective will be happy faces, crying hearts. If you look at poverty-stricken countries like South America, right? Guatemala, El Salvador. There, if you look at, I always wondered when I looked at those ladies that they always very well make up. They have very difficult time to make the ends meet. Really, they're doing like menial jobs in fish cleaning companies and all. The conditions are really bad. But they are always good at makeup, very good fingernails and very good, like well-kept eyelashes and whatever the lady. So then I got the realization that we are looking for happiness, and the portrait or the definition of happiness is that how good we can look outside. So don't be befooled by happy faces, but because the hearts are crying. So Krishna is not interested. Krishna consciousness or Bhagavad Gita is going to give us the happy faces and happy heart. It's a wholesome recipe for a very wholesome life and wholesome death. Very nice. Okay, so every journey begins with a single step. So let's begin the journey into the mysticism Gita. Give yourself a chance. There is a very nice, if we go ahead and then I'll do this talk, a very nice seminar on self-trust. How do we actually build trust on ourselves? And one of the elements of building trust for oneself is giving oneself permission to do things. So if we can give ourselves permission to go through this curriculum, may help, may not help, I'm sure it will help, but at least go with an open mind, okay? This is a glorification of Bhagavad Gita. Let's listen to it. I'll explain in 18.
Atha Gita Mahatmya Gita Shastram Idam Punyam Ya Patet Prayata Puman Vishnu Padam Avapnoti Bhaya Shokadivarjita Gita Dhyayana Shilasya Pranayama Parasya Cha Naiva Santi Hi Papani Purva Janma Kritani Cha Mala Nirmochanam Pumsa Jalasnanam Dine Dine Sakrit Gitambasi Snanam संसारमलनाशनं गीतसुगीतकर्तव्या किं मन्ये शास्त्रविस्तरे या स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखापद्मादिनिःसृता भारतामृता सर्वस्वं विष्णोर्वक्त्रद्विनिःसृतं गीता गङ्गोदकं पीत्वा पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दना पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महात् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा.
The glorification of Bhagavad Gita by Shankaracharya, and we'll read about it at the 18th chapter. But Sarva Upanishado Gavo Dugdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. All the Upanishads are like a cow, and the milker of the cow is Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda. Arjuna is the calf, the beautiful nectar of Gita is the milk, and the fortunate devotees of fine theist intellect are the drinkers and enjoyers of that milk. Okay, so we go over the summary of first chapter, Arjun Vishad Yoga, Arjuna's Yoga of Lamentation. So this particular chapter introduces the three main protagonists of this book. Who is this? I'll go from left top corner to the right. Who is this?
Dhritarashtra.
Nice. Who is this?
Arjuna.
Nice.
Arjuna.
Who is this?
Duryodhana.
Duryodhana. Very nice. Thank you. So there is an introduction to all three, and then on the background is that they are Arjun and Duryodhana and Krishna are in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. This is the first verse. This is not going to cover all the verses, only the major verses, because this is just an overview. And some of the slides don't have the verses. They just have a translation just to give an idea of what's going on. Okay. But as you progress with us and we take you to level 2, level 3, Bhakti Shastri, then you are going to go through each and every word of each and every verse. Okay. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So face is the index of mind. So when we look at the face of Dhritarashtra, what feelings do you think he's embarking in his heart at the moment?
Confusion.
Huh? Can you come again?
Confusion.
Anxiety.
Confusion.
He's very
anxiety,
anxious.
okay.
Fear.
Okay. Fear. What else?
Anxiety.
Okay. Anxious. There's some kid in this class. I think this is not a kid catered class, but thank you for coming anyway. Yes. So Prabhupada writes in the purport of first verse that he is doubtful and fearful. Two feelings that Prabhupada is writing. If you read the purport, he's doubtful and fearful. So Dharam Kshetre, Kurukshetre. So Kurukshetra is a place in India, in Haryana, which has been called as Dharam Kshetra, or the place of religious piety from time immemorial. Samaveta Yuyutsavaha. Samaveta means collected. Yuyutsava means desiring. So they collected with a desire. Who collected? Mamakaha. Mamakaha means my children. Pandavas Chaiva, and sons of Pandu. So Kima Kurvata Sanjaya. What did they do, Sanjay? What did they do? They have collected themselves on the pious or religious field of Kurukshetra. But what are they doing? What did they do? Interesting question. if somebody is collected with head-on armies, and then somebody is asking, what are they going to do? You think they're going to go for a break? Okay, we'll come back after a break, or they'll go for some shopping. They forgot some ammunitions. What are they going to do? What's the logic? What are they going to do?
Desire to fight. Desire to fight.
Yeah, so but what are they going to do? What's a natural common sense answer?
good night बंद कर दो.
Desire to fight.
Okay, thank you. They're going to fight. It's a fighting field. It's a war field. They're going to fight. There's going to be a war. But that's why Prabhupada writes is doubtful. He's doubtful that is there going to be a fight, because the influence of Kurukshetra might change the heart of his sons, because it's a pious place. So anyway, we'll go over one word here. Dharam Kshetre means it's a very pious place. Kshetra means field, dharma means religion, so field of religious activities. In South India, whenever there is some auspicious activity to be performed, they let the milk overboil on the stove, right? So it's auspicious. Then the next key word in this verse is Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva. So basically, Dhritarashtra is separating his sons and from the sons of his younger brother Pandu. After the death of Pandu, it was his responsibility to treat Pandu's children as his own children. It's a royal family. It's not like there's some difficulty in making the ends meet, but he's separating, as if we put lime or lemon in a milk and we separate the cottage cheese from the water. So separating. And then Kuima Kurvat means what did they do? So say, if I give you a plate full of rasgulla, and then ask you, now what will you do? So of course you're going to eat. But then he's asking, obviously there's going to be a war, but he's doubtful. So he's doubtful because, as I explained before, there are two circles of conversations going on in Bhagavad Gita. Outer circle is, if you remember the slide, is talks of people and events, which Dhritarashtra is doing to Sanjay. So the lower minds talk about people. This person said this person got married to this person got divorced, this person had fight. Okay, that's a very low level of intelligence. Average minds talk about events. This happened, that happened, election happened, war happened. But the highest level of intelligence is expressed by talking about wisdom, spiritual wisdom. Okay, so you see, okay, this is a different perspective that Dhritarashtra is asking, what are they going to do? This is the introduction of the other protagonist of the story, which is Duryodhan. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. So basically, when Duryodhan saw the arrangement of military phalanx by the Pandavas, he was, now you're going to tell me, he was, how does his face look? He's what? He's very happy that Pandavas have done such a nice expert arrangement of the phalanx of the military. Or how does he look?
Scary.
Looks worried.
Scary.
Alarmed.
Yeah. So he looks very shocked. Right?
Scared.
Right. Fearful, shocked. Thank you. He looks very fearful. He looks as if his eyes are going to come out of the orbit. He looks very shocked. How can they do it? And then he goes to his guru, who is Dronacharya, and he starts to blame him. There's a story behind it that he's actually criticizing Dronacharya in this verse, that you gave this knowledge of arrangement of military phalanx to your disciple, who is the son of Drupad. Right? So there is a story between Drupad and Dronacharya. So Drupad and Dronacharya were school friends. They were in same Gurukul. And Dronacharya was a Brahmana. He was not very wealthy. And Drupad was the son of a king. So in friendship, Drupad promised Dronacharya that once I become king, I will give you so much wealth. But then when Drupad became the king, he came away from his word. He turned away. So this made Dronacharya angry, not because he was looking for wealth, but because the value of the word of a Kshatriya and Brahmana is very worthy. So it loses its worthiness. It's not religious. So basically, then Dronacharya, to save him, actually the inner reason is to save Drupad from the curse of lying to a Brahmana, fought for the property, fought for the villages, which made Drupad mad. He became angry in return. And then he did a fire sacrifice for having a son who will kill Dronacharya. So basically, Dronacharya was killed by Drupad's son, who was actually given to Dronacharya to be given the knowledge about army, about how to arrange the military phalanx. Dronacharya knew it. He knew that Drupad's son is going to kill me. But when he was given to entry to his Gurukul, Dronacharya did not hesitate to give him the knowledge about fighting. Yes, because he's Udar Hriday. Udar Hriday means very magnanimous heart. Doesn't matter. I have to die anyway. Why should I hold back this knowledge? Okay, and then we have the entrance of Arjuna and Krishna in verse 19. Saghosho dhritarashtranam hridyani vridhayaret nabhascha prithvim chaiva tumulo abhyanunandayan. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious and thus vibrating both in the sky and on earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. Hridyani vridharayet. Basically, in this particular chapter, there are different signs which indicate that the Pandavas are going to win anyway. There's already this. So this is one of the signs that Hridyani vridharayet. When Arjuna, Krishna, and other Pandavas were blowing their conch shells to embark the beginning of the war, the Kauravas and their party, their hearts were shattering because of the fear. Whoa, my goodness, some sort of a calamity is coming. But we don't hear that Hridyani vridharayet when the Kauravas were blowing their conch shell. Pandavas are not having this reaction. Okay, and this is the beautiful slide on different names of conch shells of different Pandavas and Krishna. Krishna's conch shell is called Panchajanya, very special. Arjuna is called Devdatta. Yudhishthir's conch shell is called Ananta Vijaya. Bhima's conch shell is called Pandra. Nakula's conch shell is called Sughosha, and Sahadev's conch shell is called Manipushpaka, which is in verse 16 to 18. The other speciality of this chapter is that Krishna is addressed by many names. Krishna's names have the meaning. It's not like random. If Krishna means all attractive. Hrishikesh means master of the senses. Madhava means husband of goddess of fortune. So every name of Krishna is given to Krishna because of a quality that is associated with Krishna. He's called Janardhan because he's maintaining all living entities. Or he kills everyone too. He's called Vasudev because he's the son of Vasudev. He's called Govinda, who gives pleasure to senses or cows. Okay, so all these names are listed in first chapter. And these are the signs of victory of the Pandavas. We don't have to go over everything, but there are 9 signs in this particular chapter. Krishna's personal presence, right, confirms the victory. In verse number 14, Jayastu Panduputra Nam Yesham, that's the verse. Then goddess of fortune was present on, because wherever Krishna was present, goddess of fortune is present. She's the chaste wife of the Lord, so she goes wherever the husband goes. The venue was Kurukshetra, which is a holy place, and it is obviously going to have an impact on the pious soul. Then Arjun's flag on the chariot had Hanuman, Lord Hanuman. So basically Hanuman was giving blessing to Arjun to fight on behalf of Krishna as he did on behalf of Lord Ram. Then conch shell is a symbol of Lord Vishnu, Panchajanya. That was there. Then transcendental conch shells. So Krishna and Arjun's conch shells are addressed as Divya. Bhishma's conch shell was given because when Bhishma blew his conch shell, then there is a description in verse number 12 of this chapter that Duryodhan felt pacified. There's a dual meaning to that verse. But anyway, Duryodhan felt pacified, but Bhishma knew that this is an announcement of death of Duryodhan. When Bhishma's conch shell to pacify Duryodhan. When Bhishma blew his conch shell, Duryodhan felt pacified, but the inner meaning is that Bhishma knew that he's going to lose it, because Bhishma is one of the devotees of Krishna. Then Arjun's chariot had Agni Dev on the Arjun's chariot was given to him by Agni Dev, and it was capable of going in any of the directions. And then Hridyani Vradarayet, which we studied. Okay, so far what we have studied is, we have studied about Srila Prabhupada. We have studied about the establishment of ISKCON very briefly. We have studied about the reasons one may have to go ahead in this journey. We have also studied about or heard about Gita Mahatmya. We are also starting to unfold the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where there are three main protagonists, which are Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, and Arjun. Dhritarashtra speaks the first verse, in which he is talking about what is going to happen between his sons and the sons of Pandu on a pious religious field of Kurukshetra. Then we studied about the expression of Duryodhan, and then we studied about that Arjun is going to tell the entrance of Krishna and Arjun. We studied that how Krishna and Arjun are starting with a bang of blowing their conch shells, and when Arjun sees his relatives on the other side, then what happens? This is the twisting point in the chapter. Arjuna vacha senayor bhayor madhye ratam sthapya me achyuta yavareta nirikshayaham yodhu kamanavasthitan kair maya saha yodhadvyam asmin rana samudhyame. Says, I want to see, bring my chariot in the middle of the two parties. I want to see Krishna. I want to see Yodho Kaman Avasthitan. So Kaman means desire. Avasthitan means situated. Who is situated in that field? I want to see who is situated on that field with a desire to fight. Kair maya sa yodhavyam asmin rana samudhyane. I would like to see who is in this run, Kshetra. Okay, so Arjun is requesting to bring his chariot between the two parties, and he wants to see, and Krishna does that. So Krishna draws the chariot in the middle of the two armies. But that doesn't mean that Krishna becomes a driver, and then he loses his place as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is Arjun addressing Krishna as when he's requesting Krishna to draw the chariot? What is he addressing Krishna as?
The path.
I go back to the verse instead.
Be
What is he addressing?
Be ready.
Sarthi.
Achyuta. Say, Ratham Sape me Achyuta. This word, Achyuta, here, Achyuta. So he's saying Krishna is addressed as Achyuta. Achyuta means one who never falls down. So even if Krishna is, yes, infallible, thank you. Even if Krishna is drawing the chariot in the middle of the two armies, it doesn't mean that he's falling down from his position of being the Supreme Lord. He still remains. And Arjun is aware, and that's why Arjun is addressing him as Achyuta. Then he gives different reasons that I'm not going to fight. So one reason he gives is compassion. My relatives are the objects of my compassion. I am not supposed to kill my grandfather, my teacher, my brothers, my uncles, my animals. And then out of the compassion, in verse 28 to 23, there are some symptoms listed. That he was quivering, his mouth was drying up, his whole body was trembling. He couldn't even withhold his Gandiva bow anymore because he was foreseeing only misery. So he was compassion. Okay, and then Arjun only sees the problems. Arjun further symptoms and sees only causes of misfortune. That if I kill, what misfortunes we'll see now? If I kill, then I won't be, then what will happen? He's anticipating. He's telling Krishna. In verse 31 of this chapter, he says, Arjun says, I cannot enjoy the kingdom at the cost of killing my relatives. Basically, we try to acquire goods in our life. We acquire assets in our life to enjoy. Or are we going to go and sit in the middle of the snow-covered mountain and then nobody will see us, and then I'm going to have my color TV and an MP3 and no one to show? Or do we want to invite our relatives, invite our friends and go places with them? What do we want to do? Nobody.
He wants to run away from the ground.
No, but I'm asking, what do we want to do with our life?
We would like to invite we have a great
right.
So we would like to show, basically we would like to showcase ourselves that we have a
Okay.
great thing we have achieved. That's the human mentality.
Or maybe we don't want to enjoy our happiness alone. We want to share it with others. Maybe
Yes.
that could be a reason.
Yeah. So is it Arjun is saying that Krishna, you're telling me to kill all these people and then I enter an empty palace to do what? Because I'm not going to have my grandfather. I'm not going to have my teacher. I'm not going to have my animals. I'm not going to have my uncles. What am I going to do with wall to wall? You see, whenever I read this first chapter, so many years have passed. Whenever I read it, I get fully convinced Arjun is right. Until Krishna starts speaking from tomorrow. So everything looks fine there. So, okay, so there's only going to be a reason for misfortune. So Arjun says, I'm not going to fight. There's no enjoyment. First is no compassion, then there's no enjoyment. Even if you give me 3 worlds, upper, middle, lower, I'm still not going to fight. I'm not going to fight because there's no enjoyment. What am I going to do? And then he gives, and then this is the third reason, he's fearful of the sinful reactions. If I kill my grandfather, who has raised me, if I kill my teacher, there is a lot of sin associated, who's also a Brahmana. I will go to hell. And hell, he knows what hell is. You read 5th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, the last chapter, descriptions of the hellish planets. So he knows what hell is, that what happens over there. So I don't want to go. So third reason, first compassion, second, no enjoyment. Third is fearful of the sinful reactions. It's sin. I'm not going to do it. And he tells Krishna also that we are more intelligent than them, so we should not commit sin. So advising Krishna too. Okay, and then fourth reason, he sees a degradation of the society. He says, okay, the elders of the family, this is the stepwise, so we'll start with step 1. Elders of the family are killed. Okay, if I fight, then they're going to be killed. And the elders of the family are the people who give religion and tradition to the generation. Like most of the traditions that we follow in our families are given to us by our elders, grandparents, great-grandparents, parents, uncles, aunts. But everyone is dead now, so there's destruction of the dynasty. Then what happens if the dynasty is destroyed? Destruction of the eternal family tradition. Vedic rituals will stop. No one will offer oblations to the departed ancestors. No one will offer proper Vedic rituals because there is no one to teach. Then what will happen? Irreligion will predominate in the family. Then what will happen? Women will become polluted because there is no sense of protection. There is no sense of giving shelter. There is no sense of giving space to the women to cultivate their chastity. So they will be abused. So women will become polluted. And then when the woman becomes polluted, then there is Varna Shankara, unwanted progeny. And when there is unwanted progeny, then all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. And there is chaos. So he's thinking so far ahead. He says, I'm not going to fight because if I fight, not only will I get sinful reaction, but also I'm going to kill the whole dynasty. Okay. So, and then he says, this is the second chapter. The final reason he gives is the indecision, which will be tomorrow. But I thought it'll be nice to just mention it here. Now do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them? So indecision. case, I'm undecided about it. So what are the reasons? This is the better slide, less busy slide. What are the reasons Arjuna is giving to Krishna? I'm not going to fight. Compassion. My family is an object of my compassion. No enjoyment. I'm going to enter an empty palace. What am I going to enjoy? Pillars, flooring, no people. And sinful reaction, sin to kill elders, especially Brahmanas, grandfather, animals, unnecessarily. Then when the elders are destroyed, there's destruction of the dynasty. So up till the destruction of the dynasty, these 4 reasons are given in first chapter. And then second chapter, he gives decision of indecision. I'm undecided about it. Basically, there is a very frank talk between Arjuna and Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna is representing each one of us. We all have these things in our life. I'm undecided. Right? Are we always very decided about everything to do? Or do you ever have this, you go in the morning and open your almirah and like, I have no clothes. I can't decide what to wear. Or I may have 10 pair of shoes and say, I have no shoes. New shoes. I mean, yes, we're always undecided. We're always answering questions. What to eat? What time to get up? Where to go? When to go? What to do? When is vacation? Where do we go? When is this class going to end? Right? All questions. Okay. So Arjun actually goes. So see what happens is that he's a Kshatriya. He's very powerful. Arjun's bodily construction is well studied by the Shastras. He was a very well-built Kshatriya, but he's feeling so weak that his helmet is fallen down, his arrows are going down, he's crying, he's only foreseeing misfortune, his Gandiva bow has slipped out, and then he sits down and he says, I am not going to fight. I am not going to fight. There's compassion, no enjoyment, sin, destruction of family traditions, and indecision. Okay, this is the short summary. The chapter begins with Dhritarashtra's inquiry, Kim Akurvat. This is the reference, verse 1. Then Duryodhan's fear are introduced from verse 2 to 11, that Mahatim Chamum Vyodham, your very intelligent disciple, has gone and arranged this military phalanx, whom you only trained, Dronacharya. And then introduction, bombastic entry of Pandavas and Krishna by blowing up the conch shells. This is Kai from verse 12 to 19. Hridyani Vradaraye. Then Arjun requests Krishna to take his chariot in the midst of 2 armies from verse 20 to 27. Gandivam Shamshate Hastat. His bow is actually slipping from his hand. And then Arjun gives reason not to fight from last part of the chapter, 28 to 46. I do want to play a video, but we have to go off stream.